There are certain flowers that bring a wave of nostalgia right over me. And when I was wandering through the farmer's market last week, I saw a bunch of marigolds among all the gorgeous flowers, and I got them and brought them home to paint them this week as we celebrate the transition from summer to fall. That is one thing that stays the same every year. So paint with me these gorgeous, fun flowers as we talk together and paint together today. Hi everyone, I am so glad to paint marigolds with you today. I have never painted marigolds on the YouTube channel or in any of the courses, so this is super fun for me. So super beautiful, lovely flowers. Now these are from my home, California. We have these everywhere, and I would never, I would pick a couple and put them in a little jar, but I never bought like marigolds. We never bought a vase or a bouquet of marigolds because I think they were just so common. Everyone had them in their yards. They're a great butterfly attractor. They're good to help keep some of the bad bugs out of the garden. And so when I was in the flower market over at Union Square here and I saw these big bunches of marigolds, I was flooded with this nostalgia. And so I thought, I've got to go home and paint these marigolds. And if you are familiar with them, they are just this pungent, distinct smell that you either you love it or you hate it, but it's just a marigold smell. So I thought, okay, we're going to do just a really quick painting of some marigolds. And I wanted to point out, before we get started with the painting, just some distinctive features of this flower. So lovely orange color. They do have a lot of shadowing, so we're going to use a lot of purple. We're not going to do a face on too much today, and so we're really going to be doing more of the side views, except maybe for this one in the center. And you'll notice with their petals, they're kind of wrinkly. They're just very curvy, and they have little wrinkles, and there's a lot of them. Now you don't have to paint or sketch every petal, of course. We'll just do a couple to get that distinguishing feature. They don't go out super long like the sunflower or the Gerber daisy or zinnias. These are shorter petals, and these ones are really nice orange color. These ones that are not in full bloom, you'll notice we see a lot more of their body, and then just a little bit at the top of these little petals that are not fully formed yet, or fully exploding and beauty. So let's go ahead and I have the sketches for you, and they're all going to be on the blog too, and I'll link that. So you can either pause and sketch yourself a side view. So I've got one where I've got a side view of a marigold. Let me come in a little bit closer, and you can see on this one, I put the smaller one down below, almost like the larger one was protecting it. And on this one, I have it kind of sprouting up. So whatever way you want to do it, you can go ahead and use a pencil or a micron pen, whatever you prefer. I'm using the micron pen so you can just see the sketch so much easier than if I try to do it in pencil. And then over here, we have a bouquet of marigolds with a little bow around it that I added after. And the problem with sometimes using micron pen is that you're like, oh, I can't erase that, right? So I've got a few extra lines in there, but that's fine. And in this one, I had used a vase, and I just wasn't as crazy about that, to be honest. I thought, you know what? I'm going to put them in a bouquet. I didn't like the vase, the colors, and it just wasn't singing to me. So let's go ahead and talk about colors and what to mix. Originally, I had used a cadmium yellow, and it's too much. That's what it is. I'm going to show you on the back of this one what that looks like. And what ends up happening is that the yellow and the cadmium yellow, this medium hue, it is opaque, and so it does not play well at all. So when I was mixing the pink with this, you'll notice it comes on really just opaque. It's not translucent, so you really can't see through it. So if I want to add shadowing, it kind of layers on top. And I really wanted to, I ended up using a lemon yellow to mix my pink with. And this ends up being, you can see kind of the paper through that, but then I can keep adding more, and I can add some shadowing. And this one, you can see even as it dries, it is solid. You cannot see through that. So that's why I'm choosing to use a lemon yellow, and I think I got a little bit of ochre in it too, and that's fine. And then my pink, I just have a rose crimson, and I'm mixing those together. Now, if you have a cadmium orange light hue, feel free to use that. I just wanted to, I know I have an orange somewhere, but I wanted just to use what I had on my palette, because you know how it is when you get a few minutes to paint, and we are kind of, this YouTube series is all about having only about 20-ish minutes or so to paint. We have to get to it, and sometimes that means mixing your own colors super quickly. Okay, so we've got that going. We will be adding a little bit of purple today because to create some shadowing, but that's not quite yet. Let's go ahead and just start by looking at our beautiful marigold. It's such a common flower, but it really is lovely. I think I have a new appreciation for it now that I'm not in California. Isn't that funny? What we take for granted sometimes. So I'm just gonna set that over here. You can see, maybe I'll go over here. I want to be kind of close here so you can really, nope, we're not gonna do that. I don't want the shadow over there. So you can see the flower. Okay, so when I'm coming in here, I am going to I'm just going to look at my flower, and I am almost gonna do like the outline of the petals, because I'm going to be putting some shadowing underneath the petals. So like in this part in here, we'll end up putting some shadowing. Now I want this to be a little bit more orange. It's a little pale right now, and that's not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and simply add some more pink to my lemon yellow, and then just dip that in. And there we go. Isn't that nice? So that's the other thing I like about mixing colors, is that you can really have a little bit more control over the intensity, over the hue, etc. All right, I'm going to pick up some more pink, and I'm getting a little bit of yellow ochre in there, I think, too, and that's not a problem. Yellow ochre is going to play nicely with the colors, and I'm going to pick up some more pink, and you can just see I'm dabbing around. That was a little bit too much pink before I mixed in my yellow, so I'm going to mix that in a little bit better. I'm just going to take my paper towel and dab that real quick, and then come back in, and there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let that sit for just a minute. What I am going to do too is I'm going to, and if you have red instead of pink, that works too, like an alizarin crimson. I always have a hard time saying that one. Play with it though. Take a piece of paper and mix your colors before you commit to the page, is my recommendation. All right, I'm going to come up here on this guy, and you can see where we just have those little buds sticking out. And again, we're not trying to paint a portrait of the marigold here. We're just taking about 20 minutes and painting a couple of pictures of our lovely flowers. I'm choosing to use a 4x6 because it just constricts our space, because we have limited time. The bigger the piece of paper, the longer it's going to take, right? I was going to pull out a couple of 6x9s, but I'm like, oh, we're not going to finish those in 20 minutes. And I wanted to show you how we could do both a bouquet really quickly, but still like enjoy it, right? As well as create a single flower. So I'm just again moving around here. I'm using a size, this is a size, I believe it's a 7. So this is a size 7 brush, and you could use something smaller as well. And I'm just laying down. This one got a little bit messy. And if you sketch with a pencil and then you're painting, what you might want to do after too, if you wanted to clean it up a little bit, I'm going to come in here so you can see that more clearly, is you could let it completely dry, and then you can always come in and add a little bit of micron pen after. Okay, now this one is our forward facing flower, and it does have a dark center. Remember this guy right here, he does have that. Oh, I'm so sorry, that got, come on camera, there we go, now we can adjust out, and we can see that dark purple center is what we're going to paint, or the color we're going to use. It might be a little bit of a brown, but because we're using purple as our shadow color, I don't want to incorporate too many colors in here, right? We don't want the painting to be muddy. For the flower that's facing us, you can see I made little wrinkly petals, and I am almost like, not a peony, but a little bit of that style where you're just going round and round, but our petals are not extending out too far. They're not explosive per se. They're pretty controlled. They're kind of a little bit tighter. Okay. I'm going to move over here, and then I'm going to leave that. I think, oh, we have and then I have one right here. Can't forget about this guy. It's interesting as you start to paint different flowers and you do start noticing similarities, but then also those differences. I was just looking at their little petals on the marigold, and they're just kind of, they're not curly, but they're curvy and they're twisty and they're a little wrinkly. They're just very pretty. They're very tight. I do really enjoy the smell. Again, I think it just reminds me of my mom and my grandmother's garden. Okay, pick up a little bit of purple. If you have like a dioxazine purple, pick that up, and then over in the corner, you're just gonna mix that together, just like that. And you wanna get it still and let your orange kind of soak in over there, because you don't want it to look purple. It's just, we're creating a shadow color. And then over here, I'm gonna just take that shadow color and I'm gonna just start adding it in a couple of places. I still wanna leave my white spots because that makes the painting pop with watercolor. But underneath the petals, and you can always add a little bit more purple, but don't overdo it. I overdid it just a tad bit in this one, and you can see I'm going to have to come back in and add in some more orange, so just be cognizant of that. If you overdo it, take a dry paintbrush and just sop out some of the excess paint. So I'll show you too. If I was going to sop something, like I'll add a little bit too much, like right here. Maybe I just didn't want that much. I could take my dry paintbrush and just lift it up like that. Okay, now over here in this guy, what I want us to do is to take a straight purple, and it should be, I'm going to touch it a little bit, mostly dry. I'm going to just dab in the middle there. That might be a little bit too much, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm going to end up, I'll take my soft cloth here, and we're going to dab here, and then I'm going to end up going around with some more orange. Okay, and I think for my bow, I'm going to make that purple too, because if I make it orange and then the green mixes with it, well, that'll be muddy. So I'm going to just leave lots of white. I'm going to create my bow here and move that around. And then we're just going to let that sit here. Do you hear those birds outside? They have been just chittering away all day. They're so happy. So happy. I'm going to come up with my purple, and I am going to just do a little bit of dots here and there. I should check to see where we are on the time, huh? And then I'm going to come back in with my orange and add just a little bit more color. And some marigolds are more yellow, of course, and these ones are just brilliantly orange. So you can, and some are that maroon red, which are really beautiful too. So whatever color your marigolds are in your yard, if you have some, just create them however they are, but as close of a hue as you can. Okay, well, we're doing good. We're at 12 minutes. Look at us go. Okay, I'm going to back this out a little bit. I'm going to pick up some green now. And anytime you want to rinse out your water, do so. That way you are not, or rinse out your brushes really well. With your green, you can use a permanent green or a hooker's green, but you want a cooler green. I would not use a sap green. It's going to be too warm. So I'm going to come up here pretty close under my flowers, and I'm going to start laying that down. Now, if you think your petals are still wet, hold off from going right underneath them. We'll come back at the very end. That's a stem there, and I'm just going to go ahead. And continue to move around. You'll notice too, the petals are, sorry, the leaves are almost feathery in some places. Like this one right here is quite light, but they're thin. They're all over the place. They're very beautiful. Okay, I'm moving just around the page here. Moving around with my marigolds. Okay, I'm curious now if marigolds are just very common in California, or if they're just as common in other places that are hot too, like Texas and Arizona and Colorado, Utah, I'm thinking of. Yeah, I haven't seen too many of them, as many, I should say, on the East Coast. Not like we have them in the West Coast. I'm even thinking too, when I used to go to Disneyland, and they would, in their front area, it was just full of marigolds. I think because marigolds are such a hardy flower, They of course need water, but they don't need tons of water. And of course, I'm actually, what are we talking about this week? But the joy of transitioning into fall. That summer to fall transition, it stays the same every year. I think every year too. I'm going to come up a little bit closer to here. I get super excited about fall, and then it like teases us, and then it disappears again. But we have this whole transition season of fall to of summer to fall, and it really is a wonderful time of year. It's that time of year where it's getting cooler in the mornings. Coffee tastes just like a little bit better as it's nippier out. We start dreaming of pumpkins and apple cider donuts and going to our favorite apple orchard or gathering with friends and family, beginning to dream a little bit about the holidays, even like the fall holidays, pulling out our fall decor. But that joy of the summer to fall transition. It's not fall yet. However, it's really not summer yet either. Right, it's September's here, and our minds are, the kids are back to school, the grandkids are back to school. There's just a different energy, and it's really, I think it is so much fun. Okay, let me come in a little bit closer so you can see too. I'm just working around my flowers, and you can see too, another distinguishing characteristic we didn't talk about is that flower head. You talk about like the deadheading marigolds. That was like my chore as a little girl. One of them was to go out and deadhead the marigolds because that way they would grow back more. And so I loved doing that. I thought it was so much fun to pop off their little heads. And then my mom taught me to scatter the marigold seeds from the deadheads all over so that they might come back the next year or later in the summer if it was earlier in the year. And we loved it next year or the following year when you would see some volunteer marigolds. I don't remember them being as prolific as like zinnias. Zinnias just seem to pop up and proliferate like nobody's business. They're like the little rabbits of the flower world. They just come up and grow. Okay, I'm going to move up around here. I'm being careful with my bouquet. Oops, sorry about that. Because I don't want those flowers to mix. And you can see too, the colors that we're using go really well together. So orange, purple, and green. Beautiful color combination. Just beautiful. Okay, so I'm just moving around here. And we are coming, I think, to the end of our 20 minutes. I'm going to take a wild guess. I start to kind of get a feel for it. I feel like I start painting faster because I really am trying to stay within that period of time because we are busy. And sometimes you just have 20 minutes. Okay, now I want to tell you a secret. If you want to add in some more detail, add a little bit of purple to your green and then come back in to your stalks that are need a bit of shadowing. And we'll add some shadow there. Oh, it's 17 minutes. Good. Yeah, we are coming on, but we're doing so well. Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit of purple to my green. I was not sure if I was going to record today, and I thought, you know what, let's do it. We are ready. The flowers are here. I had painted a couple already, and I'm like, let's go. It's just fun sometimes to take the moment when it's offered to you. If you think too long, it can pass you by, right? So you can see that's that green with just a little bit of purple. And we're just when we use the purple for all our shadowing, it's going to create, the painting has a much less likelihood of getting muddy. I'm not saying it won't get muddy. It still could get muddy, but not as easy when we're using a lot of the same, that's the same color to do shadowing. It doesn't always work, but purple with green and yellow/orange, it works really nicely. So I'm going to just add a little bit more, and we're going to be about done. Now you can add some splatters if you want. I know splatters are not for everyone, but make sure that your bouquet is leafy because the marigolds are leafy. So I'm going to even come in with my smaller brush, and I'm going to just do just a little bit of splattering, not tons, but just a little bit. And I'm even going to pick up the purple too because I didn't have a lot of purple in the page and I just want to spread it out a little bit. So I'm going to just do a little bit of purple. Again, you don't have to. I just like a little bit of splattering. I'm going to come back with my orange Pick up some more pink in my coloring here, and I'm just going to pop it in a little bit more in a couple places all around here. So you're showing, I'll show you the marigolds too. And there's going to be pictures on the blog too if you want to, and I'll have the link below. If you want to go to the blog and just look at some more examples. Little splatters here. Little splatters over here. These are so cute. These are all going to go out in snail mail, I think. I have a bunch of cards. I had so much fun when I was in California. This is now several weeks ago, and I'm just late getting out some cards, but I wanted to send out some thank yous, and so I'm going to have some of these beautiful 4x6 art. Fits beautifully in just your standard envelope, so that will be lots of fun. But let it completely dry. And then, but don't wait too long, because sometimes that tape really adheres to the paper. And then pull it off, and you could write a note in the back. Don't forget to date it. But these are just so pretty and such a fun way to celebrate the things that stay the same. And that's that beautiful transition between summer and fall, full of excitement and anticipation, and a little bit of angst sometimes as we say goodbye to the days of summer, which just are so much fun in many, many ways. But I've loved painting with you. I'll include those links to some other painting projects as well that are similar, and I'm going to see you next time. We're almost finished with this series, and I'm having so much